And if you had told me when I went to bed on Saturday night that you will be starting out the new work week here at Fox Sports Radio talking Tampa Bay Rays baseball, I would have said, you are a loser. You don't know what you're talking about, you moron, but here we are. Of course, it takes a scandal for us to lead off the program in this world. We have a developing story. Is it a developing story coming out of Tampa? And if you have been away from the sporting news world, you might have not seen this. Maybe you missed it. And so we'll get you caught up to speed here. We have learned that Major League Baseball has cracked open their investigative staff. The same investigative staff that investigated the Astros for cheating found nothing while they were cheating. That same investigative staff of Major League Baseball investigating now Tampa Bay Rays infielder Wander Franco. Yeah, that guy. Now, he's the forever Tampa Bay Ray player. We found out there's an ongoing investigation. That news breaking over the weekend on Sunday. He did not play in the game against Cleveland, a 9-2 loss for Tampa Bay, if you're into such things. There was a promotion at the Trop. You could get a hat, a snapback Wander Franco hat. All fans 14 and under. That's an important part of this story. All fans 14 and under get one of those hats. Now, the Rays issued a prepared statement. Franco was at the ballpark. He was seen in the dugout. He left around the fifth inning. The Rays issued a statement saying, during today's game, we were made aware of the social media posts that are circulating regarding Wander Franco. We take the situation seriously and are in close contact with Major League Baseball as it conducts its due diligence. Close quote. Tampa Bay did not detail the nature of the social media post. Many news outlets have also decided not to report what is being accused, which is always fascinating to me, and I'll tell you why. It's the same concept of when a fan runs out on the field during the fourth quarter of an NFL game and they don't show it on television because they say they don't want to encourage people to do it. So what does everyone do? They run to social media, and within about 5 minutes, you have roughly 17 different camera angles of the fan running on the field in high def. But you can't show it because you don't want to encourage people to do it. So anyway, we'll just cut to the chase. We'll tell you what's out there. Some of this stuff has already been deleted. There are photos that have not been deleted, photos of Wander Franco that seem certainly to be incriminating photos. But the story is the unverified post claiming that Franco hooked up with a minor, a girl who is, according to the internet, said to be 14 years old. That's what the internet, social media is saying. There are some photos of him with someone who looks pretty young. They have their clothes on. In one of the photos, the female was wearing the gold chain, the jewelry that Wander Franco has. Take that for what it's worth. I don't know. You can Photoshop things and stuff like that. But anyway, so let us discuss the questions very early on. And this story is going to be hanging around, we would think, at least for the next couple of days. And if it's legit, it'll be hanging around for years, the Wander Franco story. So let us discuss the question, how do you see the Wander Franco story working itself out? So I've got legalese, hornswoggled, and flea bath. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make the Baba Ganoush is what we're going to make, which I don't know that you can get if you go to jail. I don't know if they have Baba Ganoush in jail, but I don't know. All right, so listen, Wander Franco, let's start with this. Wander Franco has not even been charged with a crime. There's no criminal situation at this point. There's nothing. There's just photos that are out there. The story continuing to unfold at this point. Baseball is now snooping around out of an abundance of caution. They're looking into this, and there are always three sides to a story. I believe in this. There's going to be Wander Franco's version. There's going to be the other version, which is, I guess, the female here, the underage female, if that is indeed what happened. And then there's actually the truth, which is somewhere else. And there's all kinds of spin going on. I was reading some of the some of the latest speculative reports that this was a consensual thing, and there was all kinds of chatter that it's not what it seems. Okay, I don't know. All I know is I saw some photos. A bunch of you idiots have been sending me different links from, I have to use like Google Translate. They're from social media accounts based in the Dominican Republic, and I'm trying to piecemeal all this stuff together to try to figure out what is actually going on, and who the hell knows. I just saw the photos. That's all I know. I know it's been tossed around there. And the photos are, as we said, bouncing around all over the place. Not hard to find. The photos of the young female wearing the iced-out chain of Wander Franco, the same chain that he wears during games. Maybe that's fake. I don't know. There's no context other than that. Some claims on some other feeds about who she is, how old is she really? Is it really exactly what it appears to be? So all of that will be unpacked in the coming days here in due time, and there's a whole lot of money on the line. This is another one of those examples of it depends how much cash you got and how important you are, and it's a rather simple thing here. If Wander Franco was a fringe major league player who really didn't do much and was not part of the core of the franchise, he would have already been released. Even just the mere speculation, they would have released his ass. But they can't do that in Tampa. Not right now they can't do that because he has a forever contract. Wander Franco signed a $182 million contract that could conceivably be worth even more. There's an option in that contract. That would be in jeopardy. That is absolutely in jeopardy if he is charged with a crime. And if he ends up being convicted or takes some kind of plea deal, then you obviously have his freedom at risk. There's that part of it. But we imagine if it gets to that point, then he will feign what? He's going to feign ignorance. That'll be the defense. I didn't know. She said she was older. I have no idea. Blah, 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 blah. And even if not convicted, here's the thing where it gets a little dicey. Even if not convicted of a crime, as we have seen in other cases in Major League Baseball, becomes a question of interpretation of the legalese. And I have seen, and it's online, you can find it, the standard boilerplate contract of Major League Baseball. They have a morals clause in every contract, and as such, Wander is bound by the provision in the contract, the legalese. So moral clauses over the years have been upheld in the court system. The first ever morals clause, here's a random fun factoid. If I believe I have this right, there was an actor in early Hollywood named Fatty Arbuckle. And Fatty Arbuckle was involved in like a murder. And the movie studio was like, wait a minute. But he had no morals clause in his contract. So at that point, the movie studio said, well, wait a minute, we got to put a morals clause in there. And they're standard for all people that work in the public life. I have one, believe it or not. Who am I? I'm nobody, but I have one. And Wander Franco's got one. Major League Baseball players have them. And the moral clause provides, rather obvious, it provides the team the right to terminate the contract or otherwise punish a player who has engaged in criminal or unseemly behavior in a moral society. So we'll see what happens with that. All right. Now, turning the page, let's go a completely different direction. We go to the NFL, some exhibition action on Sunday. I say that loosely. I don't know who's watching these games. I'm sure there are people that enjoy them. I do not. I gain nothing. I like to bet on football. There is nothing to be gained from watching exhibition games. I've learned that over the years, so I don't even waste my time. The only thing that I pay attention to is who gets hurt. Who plays well, I don't give a rat's ass. Who plays poorly, I don't normally care that much. But speaking of that, the New Orleans Saints rolled out Derek Carr. As he played, he attempted 8 passes, completed 6 of them. He had 70 yards passing and a touchdown. And when he left, the Saints were leading Kansas City 7-0 in a practice game. They would end up winning that game. And that brief appearance there has created some buzz in the bayou for Derek Carr, raised expectations, according to glowing reports about how effective Derek Carr was against the reigning Super Bowl champions' backups. So the question on this one, what do you think of the raised excitement for Derek Carr after a few passes in an exhibition game? So this storyline is predictable. It is a time-tested tradition. NFL fans, low information fans, I should say, not the smart fans, the low information fans end up getting hornswoggled by the small sample size. And you lead with your heart. You want these players, oh, this guy's going to be the savior. And you grasp on to anything. You grasp on to anything. And Derek Carr, we know what Derek Carr is. He's an open book at this point. He's played enough with Oakland, and then they moved to Las Vegas, and we've seen Derek Carr. And if you want to know the book on Derek Carr, ask a real Raider fan what you're going to get with Derek Carr. And they'll be very transparent. They'll be very honest with you. He's a guy that you like, and there's not a lot of customer satisfaction, though, based on the actual performance of Derek Carr. Carr will perform at a above-average level for several games this season for New Orleans. He will tease you into thinking that he has figured everything out. At some point, usually around week 5 or 6, the bottom will fall out. There's a trap door that will open up for Derek Carr, and he will fall into the pit of hell, the absolute pit of hell he will fall into. And then he'll pick it up a little bit. But the NFC South is such a sewer. It is such a sewer, it may not matter. It may not matter. Now, the last word here. So let's go to San Francisco. The 49ers were blown to smithereens in an exhibition game against the Raiders. The backup quarterback battle getting a lot of attention, though, for the Niners. Is Trey Lance still in the doghouse? Arf, arf, arf. Yes, nodding my head. Yes, he is absolutely Trey Lance in the very back of the doghouse. Right there. He's being trashed and bashed. I did not watch this game. I did see a sizzle reel of Trey Lance. And Trey Lance, 10 of 15. The numbers don't look all that bad. At 10 of 15, 115 yards, a touchdown. But you got to dig a little deeper when you actually break down what he did. He needs a flea bath in the back of that doghouse. Big flea bath, extra soap, the whole thing there. Trey Lance, he had 4 sacks, 2 passes that would have been intercepted by a competent defense, including one that literally went through and off a Raider defender, and he was credited with a touchdown. Trey Lance is still unrefined crude oil at this point. And the Niners, we know the story, traded a bunch of picks to the Dolphins to get Trey Lance. He was going to be the next big thing for the Niners, and then he couldn't play because he got hurt or somebody better than him. Only 8 games. And the future, as a distant relative of Nostradamus and friend of Nostradamus, the future for this guy, Trey Lance, is the Saskatchewan Roughriders or the Montreal Alouettes. That appears to be the future.